opportunity cost is an important factor here. So it's important when to know to let go. I think there's no point if you're half-heartedly doing it, right? In the
Right.
end, it's a waste of time. It's important to slot out time every day for it. Like I said, consistency matters. Here, I never had an excuse that I don't know where to study from.
Big congratulations on your
Thank
GMAT
you so much.
675. We are looking at the score. You're at a 96th percentile, right? 95th,
Yes, yes,
96th percentile.
yes.
With quant at 92, verbal at 86th percentile, and data insight at 94th percentile. So this is your score breakdown. And so quite honestly, when you share this score, how did you feel when you got the score at the exam center?
I mean, it was a lot of relief, to be very honest. I've been studying now for almost a year. Initially, I was working on the older version, that is the normal GMAT, the old version. So I was actually struggling a lot with, I was always good at quant. Quant side has always been my stronger suit, but verbal, I was really struggling, especially with sentence correction. Even RC, I used to really struggle earlier. I tried a bunch of tutors, tried a personal tutor as well. It never really worked out.
Okay.
That's when I stumbled upon, actually a friend of mine had done top 1%, and I think that's where I came across. She had given very good reviews. Went through the mock class, and I obviously really enjoyed the different approach to going, especially to RC. I think CR also was something that I've always felt I didn't struggle with. I used to struggle with a lot with RC as well as um, the sentence correction side of it. RC also, sometimes I used to do well, but there was like it was a fluke. It was never really like I was never confident of it, right? So I think in the end, after seeing the score, it was a lot of relief. It was at least something, to show for the effort. It was a long journey of like almost a year of studying and, try prioritizing it in different ways, trying, and in a way like neglecting your like rest, like whether that's your social life in some way or there, you do end up prioritizing. So I think it was that way, there's a lot of relief.
Right. It can't really take that long, especially you can't, especially when when you're a student, it is given. People are going to just be like, yeah, you can be away from social life, but once you are a professional and you've developed a social life for yourself, staying away
Yeah,
from all that, even your habitual thing, it becomes very, very daunting. You
yeah.
would be questioning, when will this all end? Should I take another path altogether?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
that's
Rohan, your
right.
journey to a 675 is definitely very impressive. Now, can you share what motivated you to take on this challenge? Now, you can also highlight about your background, where do you come from, and what you're currently doing, and how did you get on this line of space?
Sure. Sure. So I studied in a boarding school in Dehradun, moved to Bombay right after that. Currently, after my undergrad, I started working at a financial services company based in Bombay. I was an analyst, now currently a vice president there. So, there are obviously times where, you feel demotivated. You're like, let it go. If a lot of people will tell you, GMAT, like an MBA is not worth it.
Right.
Like it's not worth at least putting so much of an effort to. But I think in the end the goal is that the MBAs always adds value to it, and I think GMAT being the first step, I think at least it gives you the option later. You never know if an MBA is worth it or not, but at least it gives you the option. I think at least the first step is gone away. Like tomorrow, if I want to sit and apply for an MBA, at least I don't have to wait another 3 months to probably, put in that effort, or sometimes even longer than 3 months to like get done with the GMAT, right? So I think the motivation was that. I did take breaks in the middle, right after like I gave an attempt in, I think Jan. So I did take a couple of months break to reevaluate, also to see if I did want to put in that effort. But I was always sure I wanted to, but I just wanted to make sure that I come back with the same energy, because I think there's no point if you're half-heartedly doing it, right? In the
Right.
end, it's a waste of time. It's like I said, you end up prioritizing this over other things. But in the end, if it doesn't work out, it's just a waste either way, right? So in the end, there is no point in half-heartedly doing anything. So that's why I did take a break for a while. The motivation came of just like, I was close last time. I got a 650 in the old edition. But I knew that with sentence correction going out, especially, I knew I was probably um it would be slightly easier in this edition because my biggest, at least the thing I was most scared about went away. But I think in terms of motivation, it was majorly just let's get done with this. There's no point in getting, like, again, with all the work that we've done in the past. It's not like I'm starting afresh. It was still like a base that I had to start with. But I knew there were certain areas where I really had to focus and really had to get that up score up, or more than the score up, it was more consistency, because there were in box outside I was still scoring high scores, but again it was not that consistency. I was myself not very confident of like certain sections, right? So I think it was majorly focusing on that and refining it. But again, so when I did come across this top 1%, it's actually because it's a very different approach to what outside I was taught. Like I think RC, I was barely taught anything actually outside. It was just like, reread it and try to explain it to yourself in your mother tongue. Right. I don't think that's a very good approach. Also, because you don't really have enough time. Right.
Right.
And then there's no structure to answering questions. It's just like understanding the passage. And then again, I think GMAT is a lot about opportunity cost, right? In the end, if you spend 5 minutes on a question, you're actually losing out 3 minutes on other questions. So it's about trying to take that judgment call also, that is this worth that extra minute also spending on.
Right, mindset matters here. I think in everything that you said in the last 1, 2 minutes, it's you really change the way you want to look at this entire GMAT journey. This is one leg of your preparation. There's a lot more things to do and
Yeah.
achieve. But if you've gotten this out of your way, then you're much
Yep,
closer to the
definitely.
dream, right?
Yeah, and I think you always have the option then. I think, like, again, it could change, and because the validity is 5 years, right? So I mean, I might not want to be doing it today, but at least tomorrow, anytime when I do want to shift, it's much easier then and versus like earlier before my GMAT was done.
Yes, yes. Diving a little deeper into the GMAT preparation, and now that you have taken multiple resources as well, so now obviously you've got the score, and let's consider this is to be proven an effective strategy. So, what are the resources, specific study methods, or resources did you find most helpful during your preparation? And did you find any technique that surprised you? Like there's something that you've been doing and something suddenly knocked off, because that's a tendency that happens with Sandeep sir's technique as well, to really knocks off your reality.
Yeah, I
So,
mean the octave in specific, I think that was something that not none of us focus on. I think like it's just, I mean, I've also talked to a bunch of people who are now preparing, and I think everyone who especially goes to the demo class really gets surprised as to, oh, we've never even thought of this, right? And like I
right.
told you, RC specifically, I mean, quant, I think, because like I said, I was always on the stronger side. It was so that's why I think quant, it was slightly lesser there, but like there was the advantage of the top one, the dashboard and the website as well. I just had so much material, so I could never, like in the past, I've always asked, whoever I was working with as to where do I study from, right? And they would be like GMAT club and this and that. But it was very tough for me. Like it was not on my plate. Right? I always had the excuse that, oh, I'm doing what I can. Right. Here, I never had an excuse that I don't know where to study from, right? I think that was another thing that really helped me in my preparation. I think apart from that, the schedule that is, so I did the self-paced course. So in that also there was that Excel which laid out what to do, how to do, when, like at what, like there's a pre-work, there's during class, there's a post-work. I think that flow also did make sense to me a lot, because it was also make sure I was not focusing only on one of the aspects. It was making sure that I was regularly touching on all three. So that really helped. There was a lot more structure to it. In the past, I was just doing whatever I thought was right, and whatever they thought was right. They were like, okay, tomorrow do quant, okay, tomorrow do verbal. I didn't see a certain logic to it. I think here I did see a lot of logic to it, and very honestly, that helped me do it every day. Right, in the past, in my old preparation, I would do it for 3 days, and then I would take a 3-day break and then study again for 3 days, right? I think this time, no matter what, I woke up every day before work, managed to cut in, add those 2 hours, right? Because earlier I used to always think I'll study after work, because again, it was not very structured, right? And I think even if I was done early with work, I would just tell myself I'm really tired, like, let's do it tomorrow, right? But here, because there was that structure, and it could help me set targets that, no matter what, I have to finish this by from 2 days from now, right? So then that structured approach of, okay, this is how much I'll take, this is what I should do, that really helped me prepare,
Right.
right? And in the end, in the past, it was just do whatever, right? Or it was let this target for the week. So when they're longer targets, which is like a weekly target, we do tend to, we're all procrastinators. So we do end up thinking, okay, we'll do it over the weekend, right? But in the end, that would also not happen, right? So I think the advantage of this was definitely the structured approach, which helped made me do it consistently. Everyone says GMAT is more, I mean, it's nothing too tough for anyone. It's just consistency. It's about getting into that routine and, I mean, it's not rocket science. I think that is something which is very clear. I think all of us have passed 10th grade math, for example, nothing beyond 10th grade math. Verbal is just, we're not used to reading so much now, especially with all our phones, our first thing is always to open Instagram. Yeah, so
Right.
I think that is what is slightly on the tougher side, to get into the habit of sitting and studying. Right, have been working now for 5 years, so getting back into the habit of studying was definitely tricky. But again, like I said, this structured approach to planning out, your days and the entire module, I think that really helped me stay up to speed with everything.
So my question again is, in your preparation, what was your turning point or a tipping point where you started to feel that, hey, this is all now making sense. I'm seeing progress. And because it can happen once in the preparation phase, you're really trying to consume and you're like, okay, this is logically making sense. It could happen during that phase, or it could be during the practice phase. But for you, when did that graph kind of took a breakthrough that, yes, this is finally happening. I'm not really stuck at this point. So do you recall?
Yeah, I think it was, again, like I said, my major point was RC. I think when I was getting in the past, I honestly could not convince myself why I have taken a certain question, right? So I think when I was practicing, especially, I think there's a 700, 800 related RC booklet, right? So when I was doing that, just my accuracy and me having confidence. So without looking at the answer, I was sure I was right, right? And that is that accuracy, and that is the confidence when I got that I said, okay, that now I know. And there is this, because again, it's not like I'm taking a wild guess. It's in the end, it's elimination. There is verification which happens. So I think just when I started doing that more consistently, where I didn't have to check the answer to know I was right. In the
Right,
end, I mean, I would still go through it to make sure that my thought process was correct, and if I missed out on something, but at least it was not the purpose of checking. It was not ki, oh, did I get it right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was
That's a
the
big
major
difference
difference.
there.
Yeah.
Were you documenting this on the error log or something like that?
Yeah,
Because,
so I did create a like error log. In terms of, it was a basic one, not too complicated, but I was trying to see, majorly the error log was to see what type of questions I was getting wrong.
right,
So again, like I said, on the portal, there were enough questions. So in case there was, like, in the end, I did find that towards the end, like in the middle, I thought I was getting the primary purpose a little wrong. And that was not like it was any particular reason, but I was just getting a little confused in the middle. So I did like the mock test over there, with respect to, which is focusing only on the primary purpose, right? And I did try and refine that to make sure where was I going wrong, what is the part of my thinking which was going wrong. So
right,
definitely the error log did help me in identifying that. And I think towards the end of, like, closer on, like probably I think I had 2 weeks left to go for my date, and that's when I again went through the entire log to try, and I went through the theory part of what I was getting wrong consistently again.
right, right. I mean, these are extremely important. I mean, right now, when you look back, error log has been, just there. But if it is without it, it can really, you can't imagine your preparation without an error log, because then you just do not know where you're going wrong. The self introspection that should happen, especially when you're self-paced course, that keeps you moving. It's a game changer, I would say. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to just take out a moment a bit and ask you about, in through your preparation, you were also at work, right? And you were definitely in a demanding job as well. With everything that is there, you're in Mumbai, it's a center of business, uh, and lot of chaos. How did you manage and balance both, juggling your workspace? Did you take some time off or no? If not, how are you juggling between both GMAT and your work?
I mean, I didn't really take any time off. I think I was contemplating it in the middle, but I just felt consistency was more important than me getting, a one block of, say, again, 2 weeks or something. I mean, I couldn't really afford to take a longer break. I just thought it didn't make sense to me. I knew it was more a longer journey. I might take 1 month longer without leaving my job, but I knew I could get there. Um, so I think it was. it was like I said earlier, it is about prioritizing. I think this is a phase in your life where it is important to prioritize this. Definitely, there will be distractions. Like you said, there is a lot of social element. I'm staying in a city. I have a lot of college friends, school friends, work friends also in Bombay. So it does get tricky, but I think the important part is, and one thing you have to also realize is that they do, like your friends will understand. I think that it is, you always think, or they might be initially might not understand, but eventually they will understand. Right, in the end, it's an important phase. Like I said, it's an important milestone in the MBA like your prep for an MBA is to get clear and get done with your GMAT. So I think it is important to prioritize. Like I said, with respect, I mean, I did take a week off or so before my exam, in which I just kept it light at work. I was still unfortunately had to go through a few things, but it was not like it was too heavy. I made sure and I planned my work accordingly. With respect to the balancing of the day, so in the past, I always used to, like I said, aim to study in the evenings. I think that I found for myself was didn't really work out. Right. So what I said, told myself is that if I study in the morning, if I do manage to study in the evening, it's always a bonus, right? And what I ended up noticing with myself was if I studied a couple of hours in the morning, I was more likely to study in the evening just because I always already knew I studied a little bit for the day, right?
Right.
Because if I only plan to study in the evening, I would be like, chalo main kal kar leta hu, right?
Interesting.
Having that again, it is a very, I mean, it was just psychological, right? So I did end up noticing that even if I studied in the morning, I would end up studying even if it's half an hour in the evening, but I would do that, right?
Right.
So I typically planned it such that I did like my verb. If I was planning to study both days, I'd try to do verbal in the morning and quant in the evening, just because I used to find it easier to do quant even when I'm a little tired. Like it was just again my strength. I don't know if it's everyone's, but definitely my strength is even I can do quant even when I'm a little tired.
Right.
Also, like work in a hybrid environment, so I tried to use my work from home
Work
days
from home.
as much as I could. Right,
Hmm.
I think I also try to work a little extra on days I'm in office to make sure that my days in at home I can utilize better. That is that whether that is sometimes just logging in slightly late to office,
That's
right?
right.
So I think just I mean in the end it's most people at work do and end up understanding if you need to do this.
Do this.
As long as again the work is not being hampered, you can plan your day. You know, it's an important phase of your life. I think but it's important to prioritize and also give equal importance to both.
Equal it's because then you can't really blame that, well, your work place did not give you enough permission to do, because then you'll have to find other ways. But at
Yep,
the
yep,
end,
definitely.
prioritizing what you want is important, because we are in such a culture where that may not be prevalent, where people are going to say, hey buddy, you're going for an MBA, let me give you a pat on your back too. That's not very prevalent in India, let's put it that.
Yep,
So
definitely.
because you stress so much on academic, sorry, on RC, I would want to just say, what beyond academics, right? How, and specifically talking and indicating towards KTW session. Have you taken up any of these RC awareness or KTW session? And what personal growth or insights did you have or did you gain during, watching these, if at all, if you watched?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I did watch them, not all of them. I think I'll be watching the rest over the next few weeks. But I think, again, something coming back to what in the past, a lot of this, and I think with RC in specific, a lot of them are historical, where you do, I mean, I don't think you need a background for it, but a background does help you understand it faster, right? And I think the sessions that Sandeep sir has done, I think that definitely did help me again get more context, right? It did help me understand it quicker, right? I mean, in the end, you will not get the passage, I mean, exact passage that he's talked about, but it definitely helps you connect dots, which which will just help you quicken things up. I don't think it'll again help you answer the questions, but again, like I said earlier, it was opportunity cost. If it saves you 2 minutes in understanding the passage, 2 minutes is a lot, right?
Right,
Which we for out of a 45-minute test section test, if in one passage also, if like watching that video will help you save 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes can increase your percentile by like a huge amount, right? And with
right,
something which we don't realize. So I think the importance is also just get reading all the other like just basically getting more aware about especially the types of questions that they do ask during, I mean, the passages that they provide, right? In the end, there is a pattern to it. And I think that is why watching the KTW, the sessions, they do help, and it does help you, understand the background behind this, right? Whether that is with respect to the like historical stuff, with the entire section about the old world and a new world. So I think that does definitely just help.
Right. So, the last bit of your GMAT preparation is, now that you have done so many preparation or practices from different places, what would be your advice? Because this work, what is the advice that you would give to anybody who's starting out? Well, like, okay, this is what I want. I want to do an MBA now. I need help for GMAT preparation. If that's the thought, right? What would you give some advices to these students if,
I
starting off?
mean, yeah, I think it just would be find time for it. It's not something that you can't take it very lightly. I think I initially did, and I did suffer, and that's why it lasted much longer than it should have. I think it's important to prioritize this. It's important to slot out time every day for it. Like I said, consistency matters. Getting that 2 hours in, 1 hour in every day, even if it's 1 hour, right? It's okay. Like you should obviously prioritize time over the weekend. You'll definitely get more time. But on a weekday also, there is no reason why you can't take out that 1 hour. It's a matter of 3 months. I don't think if you diligently do it, it shouldn't take you more than 3, 4 months, right? So it's a matter of 3, 4 months. Prioritize this, do it consistency, and also trust the process. In the end, you might not see results in the first week. You might not see it in the first month. But if there is a logic and there is a process, stick to it, right? And trust the instructor, right? In the end, they are saying it all out of your own, for your own good. They are gaining nothing out of it, right? So in the end, they are saying it because it does work, and just trust it. In the end, at the end of it, it doesn't work out. You can always have that discussion as to where you're going wrong. But there's a bigger possibility that you're either missing up a step or something else, right? So I think important is consistency. It's also important to, like we discussed earlier, logging having the error log. I think it does help you self introspect. It does make you help identify the sections which you really need to work on, right? Because in the end, there's no point in you if you're anyway, one section is your strength, there's no point in keep working on that, because in the end it is a matter of all, like a mixture of all threes gets you the score, right? So in the end, important to identify your weaker sections. It's important to time yourself. I mean, I've had a discussion with a lot of people that who take the timing for granted. I think the mocks and again, like I said, getting back to the portal, I think the portal, they have enough material out there. I think that is a big advantage that I took out of it. I think that I never had to struggle that where do I do quant or verbal questions from, right? I think even DI, that related, there are a lot of material that's there online. Make sure that you're timing yourself, right, and you're keeping at it. I think it's important that you don't keep delaying the timing section part of it. Like, you will not suddenly start timing things perfectly in 1 week. It will take it takes some time, and like I said, opportunity cost is an important factor here. So it's important when to know to let go, right? In
Right.
the end, it's don't not get it on your ego that nahi main to karke hi rakhunga, right? In the end, it's about being logical. It's one question's not going to ruin it if you get it wrong, but if you take 6 minutes on a question, that will definitely ruin it,
Right.
right? So I think that is an important aspect.
Exit strategy is what we call that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I
Right.
think
So
just trust yourself. I think that's also an important.
trust yourself, trust the process, trust your mentor. Just don't
Yes,
give up on the
yes.
entire process altogether. Now, what is the future like for Rohan? Are you looking to apply immediately, or are you having some exciting opportunity at work that you would like to just explore and then maybe apply? And if you're looking to apply, what schools are you looking at?
So currently, I mean, I've actually just started a new role at my office. So I think that made it a little tougher to juggle with the studying, but I think I've started that. So currently focusing on that, but I'm also looking at options abroad majorly, as to what works best for me. I think I'm still working on it. Like I said, the important first step, now I have the option open. So I will probably be applying majorly to the US. Currently, I'm working with Autry on that plan, trying to plan how to go about that process, but looking majorly at the M7s abroad in the US.
Absolutely, absolutely. It would be very, I mean, I would be very excited to see that admit coming through. But of course, whoever said that MBA is not a good opportunity and a waste of time, you prove them wrong, because it
Yes,
definitely
definitely.
is. There's so much more opportunity in terms of what you get to learn in that phase. There is no amount of, I could say, no amount of experience from any company you can gather in that one year, 2 years, or what the university will provide you, the professors will bring to table, the kind of diversity that you will get it. There's nothing that can beat up, and
Definitely.
especially from the absolute best, I can tell you that one, right? And so obviously, me being on this side, I will never ever recommend that. But so all the best to you.
Thank you so much.
Again, massive congratulations. We're very proud of the score that you got, and more than anything, I tell to everybody, but thank you for trusting Sandeep, and trusting his course, trusting top 1%, the portal, and all the faculties, and making sure that you get reach this, because it was, if you didn't trust this, right, it was easier to kind of just let go of the
Yep,
entire
definitely.
dream and process altogether. But
Yep.
you did, you stuck on with it, and Sandeep said definitely is very proud of what you've gotten the score, because it does validate what what he is doing as well, to a large audience. Thank you for sharing your inputs, that this might really help a lot of students who are in the similar phase of struggling, initially looking at so many other options, and I hope you'll recommend top 1%
Yep,
to
definitely. Definitely. I already
anyone
have.
who's seeking out. Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you again. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you, Natasha.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.